the southwestern Nicaraguan state of Rivas. This is where phase 1 of the construction for the massive Nicaragua Canal is underway. It's being called the world's largest infrastructure project. Narrow dirt roads here are being widened and will later be paved. Then heavy digging and dredging equipment will be brought to build the canal. The massive project will result in a transoceanic waterway 30 meters deep and stretching more than 280 kilometers. The builders say it will allow the world's largest cargo ships, which can carry up to 25,000 containers, to eventually pass right through here. By most any measure, construction of the Nicaragua Canal is considered one of the world's most ambitious infrastructure projects. The Hong Kong Nicaragua Development Group says on this very spot they'll construct a massive seaport. And on the beach directly behind me here, this will become the Pacific Coast entrance to what will be one of the world's largest maritime passages. The huge construction project will no doubt transform this place called Brito. For decades, it has been one of the most pristine and untouched beaches in all of Central America. Local residents like Moises Perez can already see the coming changes.
En los últimos años esta playa se ha vuelto muy visitada, bastante extranjero, porque bueno, desde que se anunció de que venía un proyecto de canal, mucha gente quiere venir y conocer el lugar y saber qué está pasando en este lugar exactamente, si hay trabajo, si hay maquinaria, si el proyecto está avanzando.
Lately, the Grand Canal of Nicaragua is all he and his neighbors have been talking about.
Bueno, van a tener que tomar posesión de propiedades y van a también pues, indemnizar a las personas, tener que movilizar a las personas. Bueno, eso va a generar empleos para la población.
To inaugurate the project in December 2014, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega held a news conference with Chinese telecoms magnate Wang Li, whose Hong Kong Nicaragua Development Company is building the canal here.
Pero con la riqueza que genera un proyecto como este, vamos a tener mayores posibilidades de erradicar totalmente la extrema pobreza y la pobreza.
Australian engineer Bill Wild is the project's top advisor.
The challenge is very much a scale of a project and logistics. It's a very big project, as I indicated, so that in itself is a challenge, right? But the other part of that is the logistics. I mean, the area we go through is undeveloped.
Wild says a main concern for all sides is the impact this project will have on Nicaragua's environment.
The impact on the country or the environment of a project like this is always a mixture of positives and negatives, right? The fact that we go through the country affects the environment, right? There's no issue about that. We move trees and forests and we change things around. So it is an environmental challenge. I mean, we are determined not to affect detrimentally the environment of the country. In fact, on the contrary, I think we are going to do something wonderful for the environment.
Under the construction plan, the canal will cut through 4 nature reserves, an important wetlands area, and Central America's largest body of fresh water, known as Lake Nicaragua. The HKND company and the Nicaraguan government say proper care will be taken to protect all those natural areas, especially the lake.
We're going to apply the highest environmental standards in the world for all of the aspects related to Lake Nicaragua, related to the ports, and all of the provisions will be made for this as well.
Oquist says Nicaragua's government does not have the money to save the country's nature reserves. He says this project will double Nicaragua's economy, and part of that money will be used to protect natural areas.
So we look at the resources coming out of the canal as something that can produce a net positive for the entire country.
Also known by its indigenous name, Cocibolca, Lake Nicaragua spans an area greater than 8,000 square kilometers. Generations of Nicaraguan families are living on these waters. They sell their fresh catch each day at local markets.
Lake Nicaragua has more than 350 islands like that one there, many of which are populated, and the people living on those islands oftentimes make their livings directly from the lake itself.
The vast majority of residents scrape out a living as fishermen. On one small island, I meet Gustavo Alonso Potoy, who feeds his family with the fish he catches.
O llega al lugar donde hay pescado y agarra 10.
I ask him if he thinks the construction of the Nicaragua Canal will eventually harm the environment here.
Bueno, es lo que le digo, algo difícil saber, eso solo Dios lo sabe. ¿Ve? Nosotros no podemos saber si lo va a afectar o no, pero yo digo que no.
Lake Nicaragua is increasingly being used as a source of fresh drinking water, and in the near future, demand for drinking water is only expected to grow.
People are worried that because of the construction and because of the running later of the canal, we might contaminate the lake, and with that, not having enough water for the future. Irrelevant.
Jorge Huete Perez is a leading independent biologist.
We know that this is the major reservoir of water in Central America, and considering the climate change, it might be not so wise, to contaminate the water and then not having enough water for drinking. What is the ecological price that Nicaragua will be paying for the canal? There's a price. We know that they're going to have to cut all those trees and those lands for the use of the canal. So that's a serious damage.
Those potential environmental damages to Lake Nicaragua also worry 90-year-old Ernesto Cardenal, who is considered Nicaragua's greatest living poet. For decades, he has defended Lake Nicaragua. Cardenal says this infrastructure project is a clear threat.
Los expertos dicen de que cualquier derramamiento de petróleo acabaría con el lago. Y es inevitable de que haya derramamiento de petróleo.
He says the government should find other ways to benefit from this massive body of fresh water.
Sería más ventajoso para Nicaragua vender el agua del lago, el agua potable.
In the capital, Managua, the Sandinista government knows it has both critics and supporters. These people proudly call themselves Sandinistas. Among them is Adonis Quaresma, who, as a younger man, was a Sandinista guerrilla fighter. Quaresma now works for the Ortega government as a transport coordinator. He supports the canal project.
Con respecto al canal interoceánico, lo vemos con mucho optimismo, porque eso nos traerá desarrollo al país. Es un proyecto de siglo, pues del siglo pasado Nicaragua ha soñado con la construcción de este canal, el cual traerá mucho beneficio y desarrollo a nuestro país.
El canal ha sido una constante a lo largo de la historia de Nicaragua, ha sido como lo que se ha pensado que iba a ser la panacea.
One of this country's most famous writers, Gioconda Belli, knows that for more than 100 years, building a canal in Nicaragua has been both a dream for ambitious foreigners and a point of contention.
Y la importancia geopolítica de Nicaragua a raíz de que se podía construir un canal le causó intervenciones norteamericanas una detrás de la otra.
History remembers Daniel Ortega as the leader of the Sandinista revolution. In the late 1970s, Ortega's leftist Sandinista guerrillas fought an intense war against the US-supported dictator Anastasio Somoza. After years of bloody fighting and huge cost to the economy, the Sandinistas overthrew Somoza in 1979. Daniel Ortega came to power as Nicaragua's elected president in 1985. But the United States, concerned that a Soviet-backed nation would emerge in Central America, began supporting the Contra rebels to try and topple the Sandinistas. Since the canal project began, a few massive protests have taken place. Most have been peaceful, though the government did use rubber bullets against some protesters in December 2014. These protesters are angry because they say up to 28,000 Nicaraguans will be displaced from their land. One of the affected rural communities is La Junta, located in the state of Rivas. It's home to more than 100 families. Many here are aware they will be relocated from this land where they have lived for decades.
Muy triste porque si se llega a pasar eso, pues viene de fuerzas mayores que es el presidente, pero ¿qué podemos hacer nosotros? Resistirnos no podemos, pero muy triste porque es una donde vivimos, donde hemos convivido, vivimos de aquí, de la agricultura, vivimos del mar.
Natividad Cruz says surveying teams have been visiting the area, but they never tell local people what they're up to.
Ellos pasaron por aquí, pero en ningún momento, digamos, se dirigieron a los hogares o a los dueños de los hogares, sino pues que solo, incluso en los hogares que no habían, digamos, tal vez la familia, ellos pasaron viviendo y sin ninguna comunicación.
Cruz says losing his home here would be a disaster for him and his family.
Sería una depresión bastante fuerte, ¿verdad? Porque iría como alguien, digamos, imagínense que de su hogar lo saquen solo con su maletita uno y va, o sea, sin ningún, digamos, beneficio, sino pues como alguien que, digamos, está viviendo en algo ajeno. Así me sentiría, muy dolido.
Paul Oquist says Nicaragua's government has carefully worked through plans with the Hong Kong Nicaragua Development Company to make certain that affected families will be taken care of.
The criteria is going to be that no two cases are the same, no two properties are the same. So there's not going to be a cookie-cutter approach. It's going to be that each property is evaluated in terms of all of the improvements that have been made, what's on that property, what is the productive history and capacity of that property. And the criterion is going to be that everyone at the end of the day is going to be better off than they were before.
And so the first phase of building one of the world's largest maritime transport canals continues. Observers point out that across history, all of the world's major infrastructure projects, from the creation of major cities to highways and even canals linking the world's seas, all have affected the environment and people's lives. The observers say it's up to the government here to convince Nicaraguans that the benefits of this mega project outweigh the costs.